Easily the most financially successful video game movies are among the numerous blockbuster Pokémon franchises, with the first few Pokémon movies to hit almost entirely negative reviews. These movies benefited from the anime, but thanks to the simple characters and familiar Pokémon, it's much easier for casual fans to enjoy than most other movies for the major series. More recently, Pokémon has proven to be the winner of video game movie stereotypes thanks to Detective Pikachu, a movie based on an offbeat 3DS spin-off game with a live-action style and unusually realistic Pokémon models. It may seem like Pokémon is always going back to its roots, but this movie has proven to fans that the series still has plenty of room to experiment and try new things on the white screen. The Resident Evil movies starring Milla Jovovich are undoubtedly some controversial films loosely connected to the horror games of the same name, and more like traditional action blockbusters. This usually means that dedicated Resident Evil fans are attracted to this film series, but more casual fans tend to appreciate Resident Evil's unique use of its famous monsters and characters. That said, more traditional Resident Evil movies based more closely on games are already on the way, so fans have a lot to look forward to. There is a remarkably deep and broad lore behind Resident Evil that makes it such a great source material that the film industry is clearly quite passionate about. There are a surprising amount of Final Fantasy movies, often tied to their animation features. Some were based on the games themselves, like Final Fantasy XII, Advent of Children and Final Fantasy XV, Kingscliff, but other original movies like Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within have their own cult following. This series is all about different styles of fantasy settings, meaning there's tons of room for movies to make more unique interpretations and lore expansions for the different Square Enix series. It would be great to see more original movies, but for now, the series has potentially spawned some of the best written and best looking animated movies of any game franchise. The Batman Arkham franchise had some extremely lucky timing with the connecting movie Batman: Assault on Arkham. It popped up among a wide variety of great DC animated movies, and while this movie isn't tied to the cinematic universe that recently ended with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, it still builds on the great writing and animation that drove these movies' critical success. Shortly after Batman Arkham Origins, but a few years before Batman Arkham Asylum, it primarily focuses on the newly popular Suicide Squad's entry into the asylum. With a great voice cast, including the return of Kevin Conroy as Batman, and the return of Troy Baker as the Joker, it's an underrated gem that deserves to be mentioned alongside the best Batman Arkham games. Halo Legends is often forgotten, but most devoted Halo fans will tell you that this short film series is one of the best world-building pieces Halo has ever had. It's much more easily consumed than long novels and spin-offs, and the Master Chief portrays him as the true heroic soldier that players often don't experience from the outside. People have definitely given up on the anime style, but that helped make Halo look pretty unique compared to its usual realistic style. Easily one of the most creative renditions of the first-person shooter, and definitely worth a watch if you're a newer or younger Halo fan who wants some Halo media. The 2006 movie Silent Hill wasn't exactly a critical darling, but it still managed to be financially successful thanks to a pretty strong cast and open adoration for the series. The movie does a lot to bring back classic monsters and build on stories from the games themselves, and while some of these add-ons may seem a bit cumbersome, they're still pretty fun viewing to date. If nothing else, it's significantly better than the 2012 sequel, which had much lower reviews due to the cheesy 3D effects and much more cheerful writing. That said, the first movie is a video game movie with a lot of heart and love put into it, and it definitely feels like a cheaper cash grab than most other video game movies. The original 2001 and 2003 Tomb Raider movies starring Angelina Jolie are quite similar to the Resident Evil movies mentioned earlier, much more on the cheesy side and lean towards action tropes. This led to some pretty proficient movies, but it took until 2018 for the series to reboot with a movie starring Alicia Vikander alongside the games. This next movie has a lot more polish, and while it performed slightly under budget, it did pretty well compared to most other video game movies, and was even nominated for several Teen Choice Awards for action movies alongside Avengers: Infinity War. It certainly didn't come close to winning, but it's an impressive company to be within a video game movie. Persona 4 and Persona 5 have been pretty lucky to have excellent anime series, but Persona 3 could be the real winner thanks to some gorgeously crafted movies. The Persona 3 movies covered the game's story, but thanks to the large number of characters and gameplay, and the few years between the release of the movie, it felt like a much newer feature. The movie format also portrays the story much better than a series, progresses much faster, and follows the supporting characters much faster and easier. Replaying Persona 3 takes a lot of time, but the movies have been a great alternative for fans who are nostalgic for Persona 3. Mortal Kombat, the first two films in 1995 and 1997, although financially successful despite being quite disliked by most critics, is currently the most consistent category winner of the video game movies category. Oddly enough, this movie was the highest-grossing video game movie until 1998's Pokémon, the first movie, a record set for an absurd amount of money. The early movies are certainly pretty cheesy, and have some weird casting, but the final 2021 movie has had a surprising amount of success as a strong action movie based on the franchise's fighting game roots. Neither will win many movie awards, but as video game movies, they make a great foundation for strong films that build on the strengths of their source material. No one doubts that the 2020 Sonic the Hedgehog movie holds the title of the best video game movie of the moment. Fans were extremely skeptical of its first trailer, which featured a disturbingly realistic version of the blue blur and some questionable dialogue options, but thanks to the delay and some excellent animation revisions, it turned out to be an unexpected critical and financial success. That's not to say that these revisions and the road to this movie were perfect, just because the lead actor Jim Carrey had fans worried about impacting the movie so heavily, and the revisions allegedly had some ridiculous costs. However, this has still clearly led to a product the world is ready to eat, and fans are already very excited for the sequel. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the page.